Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Grumman Pilot's YouTube channel. And today we're going to look at some of the hidden parts that are in the very end of your airplane. In essence, they're all hidden by the tail cone. They're in the final bulkhead. What you see me holding there is the elevator trim bushing mechanism that bolts into the back of the tail cone. The tail cone sitting there on the floor to the left of this picture. But there's a lot of pieces that are in the tail that a lot of people never get to see. There's that long aluminum shaft, which just is a torque tube, which you can see bolts right there to the bushing. The bushing is held into the final bulkhead with 3 bolts, 2 going one way, 1 going another, as part of 4313 Bravo. But anyway, that's just a little bit on that part. But anyway, stay tuned while we have a little bit more fun. We're going to take a look at some of the other bits back there and how they all fit together and what you can do with them. So stay tuned. So we would like to ask you, please subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the notify to stay current with our content. Now here's the trim mechanism. It's held together by an AN3 bolt. It's just slotted and goes through. It is not a close tolerance, and there's a number of spacer shims that are on there. Actually, 2 thick washers and 1 thin washer. And then you have that bolt. Now to line it back up, you just stick an awl in there or a small screwdriver and go ahead and reorchestrate it. Now here's where that bushing bolts to the back of the bulkhead in the tail cone of the aircraft. The shaft sticks out to the back, and then you have all the mechanism for the trim that goes out to the horizontal stabilizers that they're bolted to. But that's just a look at the very end of the tail cone with all the boltings for everything you need. And again, it's a triangular hole. And then you have the hole that's in the shaft, and once you get it relined back up, you can put the bolt back through, and then you can put the washer and the nut on it. Now that nut is a nylock nut. It does not have to, or a metal nut. It does not have to worry about heat, and you don't have to worry about a whole lot of torque on it, because all you're really doing is keeping that shaft from rotating, so that when you rotate the outer shaft, the bushing shaft rotates with it. Now the end of this one is bent a little bit, as you can see right there, so it's a little hard to see. Now 2 of the bolts go forward, and 2 of the bolts, 1 bolt goes backwards. That way, so should they vibrate loose, they won't come out of the airplane. Now that long aluminum shaft that runs the entire turtle deck, we're going to clean it. Now you have to get back in the tail cone to do it. You need somebody skinny like Luann or Carol Scott or Shop Monkey to get back in there, and it's not a fun place to work. But what we're doing here is we have put Scotch tape around the aluminum shaft over a dirty spot and another spot. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take some alcohol. We're going to clean all the oil off of that area first. Then we're going to take the purple Scotch-Brite, which has been slightly used. We don't want it too aggressive. And we're going to take all the surface corrosion off the aluminum, and then we'll put a light coating of oil on it after we've cleaned it again with alcohol. So stay tuned while we have some fun doing this. You'll be surprised at how much debris comes off in just that one little section. Makes you wonder that if you took all the dirt out of your airplane and you could weigh it, how much would it really be adding to your weight and balance? So it's just something to see. So stay tuned while we do a bit more cleaning, and we're going to go ahead and now we're rotating it around in the direction of the Scotch tape. Now the Scotch tape's not going to hold up real well to the alcohol, but you can see the dirt right there. We just got off that little 2-inch section of shaft. And we did the Scotch tape on that, so that once we have it all cleaned and we take the tape off, we'll have a direct contrast line between the oily corrosion part by the bushing and just a normal corrosion on the normal shaft. But we'll have something to compare it to visually side by side. Now, it's not a lot of fun, and it was pretty easy to do here on a table, but can you imagine if you were in the tail cone of the airplane and you were trying to scrub that shaft? Again, what you're going to want to do is use a solvent. We're using alcohol here, but it could be lacquer thinner, something to cut through the oil that might be on the shaft, and then Scotch-Brite that's not going to be too aggressive on the aluminum to knock all the corrosion off. Then another cleaning with solvent, and then you can come back and put oil on it. You've taken the dirt out, and that aluminum is going to be fine. But this is out of an old airplane that was junked, and as you can see, doesn't really hurt the aluminum to have some dirt on it, but it's all part of your clean as you go. So if you're in the back, get it nice and clean. Now, here's what it looks like after I took the aluminum tape off. You can see where the oil and corrosion is on the left. You can see the clean section in the center, and you can see the normal corrosion on the other side. I wish I had a micrometer with me so I could have measured the thickness of the dirt that had come off either end. And then the reason why we leave those little tabs on there, it makes it very easy to remove the tape, so that when you, it's very easy just to get it off and get it back to where you have that contrast line. Now, again, you wouldn't leave a contrast line if you were cleaning the tail. While you're in the tail, I would also clean all the aluminum that's exposed. Even if it's Kolar primed, I would clean it with mild soap and water, just to get a chance of any dirt that might be in there to give a place for debris to form. And so here it is, kind of a close-up looking at it. The GoPro may not do well even with all the lighting I had out there. But again, as you can see, it is nice and shiny and very pretty. When Luann saw it, she goes, "Why is that one little section so shiny?" Well, that was because I cleaned it. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, just trying to walk you through some of those hidden bits that are in the tail. Now, you do have that nice long shaft, and I'm going to go ahead and speed this part up and get to the next section for you. So stay tuned. So here's the still picture of it one more time, just to give you a good look at it. Now let's take a look at the trim bushing that's in the end of the tail. Now, we cut the aluminum off, but as you can see, it just fits over the shaft that goes through the bushing. And of course, we had the bolt and the nut you saw earlier. Now, there's just a nylon bushing shoved into that outer housing, and it's just a piece of metal welded to a triangular tab. So you can pull it out now. It's held in by a clip ring, so the shaft will only go in so far, and you have those nylon bushings. Now, again, these are the original bushings. They've not been cleaned or lubricated since the factory, and they're still in good shape. So there's no need for you to take that assembly apart for your trim assembly, unless it's very hard to turn. It's not in the dirty threads or the screw attachment that goes on the end of the trim shaft. My last resort would be to pull that out and take a look at it. And then here you can see that I've got it all back together, and we're going to take a real close look at it. It just pulls right out. You're going to leave one bushing in place, but we're going to have the other one that we can pop out, and you can take a look at them. They've got a spiral cut on them radially, so they're easy to install and take out. Not very complicated. Now, for lubricant, I would just use a little bit of grease to get them out of there, and you want to get them clean. I put a little Aerocroil in there. It will loosen them up and also eat away some of the thicker lubricant. And then they just pop right out. You can clean them in a solvent, alcohol I would be using, and then put a little bit of lubricant back on and slide them back in. But I'm not going to be doing that with this, because this is just for illustrative purposes. This is not a used part. It will be on the shelf, but I have never replaced one, and only because I had that tail cone for another project that I was able to take everything all apart and take a good look at it and shoot video of it. So that's why we're taking a good look at the end of all of this, and that's how it all goes back together, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the bushing on the shaft, that nylon, it's not anything complicated. They do seat into, the heads do stay near the bushing and on the other side of the shaft, so that it gives them a little place to push against. But again, because that shaft is shimmed, there should be no motion from the front of the airplane to the back. So you just put it all back together, and that's what it looks like, ladies and gentlemen. So we hope you found all this useful and informative, looking into those hidden parts of your tail. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day flying your Grumman. And we thought we'd share our little MGM lion with you. Perfect. So we hope you enjoyed all of this. Thanks for watching.